Hi, my name is Jan, and I am the founder of 360 Digital Transformation, where we help small and medium businesses, so Mittelstand, to optimize, digitalize, and automate their business-specific processes. Today, I have Sascha Willutzki with me. Sascha is a young entrepreneur. He is a low-code enthusiast, and he is the co-founder of Second Digital Revolution. Without any further ado. Hello, Sascha. Welcome.
Hey, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, Sascha. Can you please introduce yourself and the Second Digital Revolution?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Sascha Willutzki. I'm living in Berlin right now, and I'm the co-founder of the Second Digital Revolution, or 2DR, if you would like to call it the more shorter version, because it's really long, right? You won't Google it probably. And yeah, we are focused on no and low code stuff and digitalization. Like you're also doing digitalization. We are not just focused particularly on German Mittelstand, but our idea is also to push digital transformation. And what we are doing, besides helping no and low code vendors or people finding the right tools to actually enable their company to become more digital, we are also organizing virtual events, digital events, for companies to leverage their products to increase their awareness for their products or their whole brand. So that's our approach there, because as you know, due to COVID, it's not that easy to meet in person. You can, but right now it's getting cold outside. The restrictions it's getting worse. Let's say how it is, it's getting worse. And the idea is to still bring people together, even if you can't do it locally, even if you can't just book a venue in person. And the idea is to just do it on the digital side. So that's our approach.
Thank you for the introduction. And we also met in a digital event where you guys organized. So it was also convenient to, I remember there was this part where you can virtually sit on tables with different people, and then you can switch the tables as you would in a regular network meeting. So
yes,
kudos to you guys.
Yeah, there are many different ways when we start to talk about digital events, digital or virtual events. Most of the people are thinking about sessions like we're having right now. Most of the people are thinking about just meetings. So what are you guys doing? You're doing meetings. Actually, we don't. It's much more like you just said. There are so many different ways. There are so many tools, so many softwares out there you could use, for example, to actually have this real world situation. Like you could actually network with people, like switching places, meeting new people, and in the end leveraging your network. So yeah, that's the thing that we are trying to do, to make it an experience, not just a one-on-one meeting.
Yeah, I like this word experience, and let me take from there. Think of a regular Mittelstand, and what I would assume that regularly, even before COVID, they were attending to like exhibitions, fairs, classical, take 1,000 business cards, 500 brochures, go there, give your brochure away, or visit other people's stands so that you might interact with other people. However, right now, not only the digital transformation, but also the COVID pandemic has shown us that that's not always possible, even though we like face-to-face events. And this is the exact point where I can ask my question. What are the main benefits of digital events, especially for Mittelstand?
I think for Mittelstand in particular, it's like increasing the awareness and not just having barriers and boundaries. For example, when it comes to really local stuff, digital or virtual events, you can just do on a global scale. For example, if you want to just dive into a new market, if you want to, whatever, advertise your product within the DACH region, or just in Poland, for example, and not just in Germany, that's possible for them, for example, with virtual events. And on the other hand, it's way more scalable. So let's say you want to bring together people, whatever you're having for a product, whatever you're doing in German Mittelstand, you're having some sort of service, some sort of product. And the idea with virtual events is that you can bring people together, but it's easier to scale, right? So you can bring more people together, and the effort doing it, it's less effort compared to just having a local physical event. And in the end, it's actually cheaper. It's actually cheaper, and you can take the content you have generated from a virtual event or whatever, like a session we are having right now. It could be a keynote or whatever. You can generate, or you can take all this content and you can cut it into highlights, you can cut it into blog posts. And in the end, I think that's actually important for German Mittelstand in particular, being visible on the internet, having some sort of content marketing strategy. And virtual events, digital events can be one channel, one additional channel maybe within the whole marketing mix, to provide all those values. And you're more flexible. You are way more flexible. Let's say in the real world, your keynote, you booked the keynote for your conference, you booked the keynote for your venue, or you have tickets for a venue, but the keynote can't show up because, I don't know, he's ill or whatever happened. When doing virtual events, you will probably have some plan A and B and C, so some fallback options. Let's say you have a recording. Let's say you will schedule just another session for your attendees to still meet with the keynote. So there's way more flexibility in it. And what's also pretty interesting for German Mittelstand as well, you can generate email addresses. You can just see what people are really looking for. So the whole analytics, it's way better than local. Still, it's a different experience. Like, we can't meet each other in person, we can't have a beer, right? We can't just say, hey, cheers, let's have a beer. It's a different world. But those are some of the main advantages, I think, that comes with virtual events.
Yeah, well summarized. And also considering the fact that 80% of German Mittelstand's revenue is international, so it makes it way more scalable when they use digital events instead of physical events, so that they have this leverage. And
yeah,
as you said, I think, yeah, maybe local events, they might be slightly cheaper, but if you want to organize an international event, the costs are, really, really high. And
I know. Even if you want to attend one, right? You have to fly there, for example, you have to book a hotel. When doing it digital, you can just log in. But you have to create experiences instead of just having a broadcast with a duration of 3 hours. You have to create something more. You have to create interactive content, engaging content. And that's where things are, that's where things are starting to become more difficult, because that's different to doing it like locally and physical, because it's easier to interact with people and easier to have their engagement, easier to let them stick to whatever you are doing, whatever you are saying, whatever you are trying to sell, maybe. But in virtual events or in digital events, you don't know if the person is still watching or not. So, but there are many ways out there. You can actually boost engagement and stuff. For example, you can just do online polls. You can just ask questions, encourage people to just drop questions if they have something, and let them just engage. So, yeah.
Thank you for the tips how to make digital events or virtual events interactive and more sticky, so to say.
Yeah.
But then it's a great point for me to move on to my second question, which is, how does 2DR help Mittelstand with the digital events?
Yeah. So when it comes to digital events, or when it comes to the idea of organizing virtual events, digital events, however you would like to call it, I would just say it's like the same. Digital events, virtual events, it's like just doing it virtually, right? Doing it digital, people don't have to fly anywhere. They can just basically log in. We are helping people with the whole project planning, with the whole ideation, the whole idea behind it. For example, what are you trying to achieve? What is the German Mittelstand trying to achieve? Are you trying to promote your product? Are you trying to increase awareness? Are you trying to just tell people about your service? Are you trying to maybe become a thought leader in your niche? So whatever you are trying to do, whatever you're trying to explain, especially when a product is not easy to explain, it's great to do it with digital events, for example. It's not just for B2B, it could be B2C as well. You can also bring together your existing audience. You can bring to whatever you are selling. Like, let's say you're having a digital product. Let's say you are whatever German Mittelstand, not a manufacturer maybe, but you're having a digital product. You can also bring together your audience, your existing audience, to just encourage them to interact more with your product, to just gather feedback or stuff. But on the other hand, if you are a manufacturer and dealing with other companies from a specific niche, it can be also great to just do some sort of virtual events to increase the awareness for your brand, for your company, and yeah, just become a thought leader, right? And that's what we are focusing on. So we normally kick things off with a workshop where we align all those points. What are you really trying to achieve? Because there are many, many, many different ways of achieving goals out there, but not every single way of doing it is the right one. Maybe not even virtual events are the right idea, but that are things you should consider, because it might be complete wrong idea to just do a virtual event. Maybe you have seen 3 virtual events and now you decided to do your own. It could be completely the wrong idea. So then that's what we are trying to do within workshops, to just make sure that's the right thing to do. You have the right goals, you have the right expectations, and then we will basically do all the planning, right? You have to choose the platform. Maybe you want to bring together speakers. Maybe you want to do some virtual venues. Maybe you want to bring in your partners from all over the world. You could, maybe you should, maybe you don't. So that are things that we are doing. And in the end, also the whole production of keynotes, of live builds, of whatever you can think about. So that's the idea. And in the end, it's not just doing an event, it's not just doing a virtual event or a digital event, it's more about incorporating those events within your existing strategy. So it's not just throwing them against the wall and hope that something will just stick somewhere. The idea is to have a strategic view and see how all those things can support you, your company, when it comes to achieving your goals.
Yeah. So you start with a consultative approach.
Yes.
Whether check even maybe it's not the right approach. If it's the right approach, then you go with the basics, the aim, the goal. Then you start with the planning and plan the whole event. You help your clients with the choice of tools, which platforms. So the digital toolkit that you have or you are partnered with. And at the end, that doesn't end when the event ends. That's actually a start of the content production phase. So you also create content for their marketing in the future, even for the next event they will organize with you. So I wanted to summarize from scratch till the end, just once again for the audience, but that's like from A to Z. Yeah. So you take from scratch and from A to Z. Great. And there is a personal question right now, because in the beginning you mentioned you are doing low code, no code, and we actually met in a low code event, and I'm a big fan of low code, so I have to ask
I
this.
know. Yeah, okay.
How are you related to low code?
How am I related to no code and low code?
Yeah. So where does your affection for low code coming? Why low code? So why Sascha and low code?
Why me and low code? Why me and no code? What is no code? What is low code? That's an interesting question. But I think, or for me, it started 2 years ago, I think. I studied business administration. I don't have a technical background, to be honest, but I've noticed when you're having an idea you would like to bring to life, for example, an app, or for example, a solution, or even you just want to build an MVP to just try things out. You want to become an entrepreneur or stuff. When you're not a tech person, you need a technical co-founder. So kind of like it all started with a startup background and the whole idea of doing something on my own. And then I was just looking of how to create things, how to become more productive, how to maybe just, is there a way of building apps, building things, becoming more digital without actually having to code or having to code that much. And this was the first point where I came in touch with no code and low code, I would say. And also we heard a presentation from it was called Ninox. It's a startup in Berlin, and they're a no code vendor, and they are doing databases, apps, and stuff. You can do basically many things with them. And they had a workshop or a keynote presentation, and I was listening to them, and it was the first starting point when I noticed there is something else between individual programming, and it was interesting for me. And then I just came in touch with the whole idea of doing events for those kind of vendors in this niche, and then things just started, right? We came in touch with more and more people from the scene. We came in touch with more people from, or I came in touch with more and more people from the known low code scene, more vendors, more people like you that are actually trying to achieve something, that are actually trying to digital transform in your particular case, the German Mittelstand, for example, but also with using known low code, not just only, but also doing it with known low code. And yeah, I noticed that there is a huge potential, and the market is growing like crazy. If you are familiar with Forrester, Gartner's research and stuff, it's insane, right? So the market will be exploding within the next years. And one reason is COVID, actually, because especially in Germany, you have probably noticed it, Ken, we are not that digital. Especially the public sector, it's a nightmare. It's a fucking nightmare. And people are afraid of spending money. People are afraid of having projects with a scope of 5 months, 10 months, 12 months, if it's a digital project. And I think that's there's a huge opportunity for low code and no code out there. And people can just, something they can just do on their own, like I'm doing right now. I don't have a technical background, but I can still build apps. I can still build databases. I can track my stuff, right? I can just automate stuff. For example, whenever you are sending me an email, I will get a notification in Slack. And when I'm creating leads or something, it will automatically there will automatically be generated a Trello task that I can just work on. So kind of like those easy things that are possible with no low code, and wouldn't possible for me if I've never heard about it.
Definitely. When I say low code, that's actually includes no code, because it's like and no code is slightly more niche, and therefore I only use low code.
Low code.
Every time saying low code, no code, but the less you code, the better for non-tech people. The more they could adjust, the better for tech people. But it's no brainer that the market is booming and will even boom more exponentially in the coming years, because for example, in Germany there's a huge shortage of qualified IT people, and right now if you want to develop an MVP, you, instead of going to a market that is already in shortage, including big enterprises that are already willing to pay huge amount of salaries to those technical people, you can flip the coin around, start building on your own, or with limited IT knowledge. If, of course, you are not a software company, you need to build an app, you need to build your MVP. And the best thing is the rapid prototyping. So you can prototype.
You can iterate. You can just
and then you can hire the best people. When you have generated revenues from your MVP, then you can also go into that competition. So the benefits are endless. But thank you for the example. You are on your own a great example of how low code can help companies, and not only that you use that niche for digital events, but also as an entrepreneur, what you said was quite valuable.
Yeah, I think the demand for low-code applications or low-code developers, it will just increase like crazy. It will just grow. What I've noticed, there are a lot of, or what I've noticed so far, the term low-code or no-code is not quite popular in Germany, I would say. Also, citizen development is not quite popular in Germany. I think people are used to think about building stuff on those platforms. They maybe could, but I think the term no and low code is not that impactful right now in the German. I'm not sure what are your perspectives on this. Have you noticed the same, or would you just say, man, people just know it?
Yeah, it is coming slowly, I would say.
Yeah.
Because when they hear about the benefits and how quick actually they can react, and how in comparison with regular software development, how affordable the solutions are, nobody needs to wait for a couple of months to change the buttons color.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Of course, that's not the only example, but as I said, if you are not a technical company, if you don't build a complicated software, you can use this for your MVP. Besides that, if you want to digitalize your processes, like simple processes, you don't need very sophisticated high code business process management tools. You can go with low code tools, no code tools, just drag and drop, create your workflows. As you said, if I have a new lead or prospect, make it into this Google Sheet and create a Trello task. This is actually doable by almost everyone. So those kind of stuff. And I see the tendency and the awareness of low code is increasing in Germany as well. I wrote a blog post about is low code the future of software development, and it was a couple of months ago. It is still the most read blog post of mine, and the German readers, or at least the readers within Germany or with the German IP, is increasing every day. So that's also a sign. And I'm in this low code development also like 2.5 years, 3 years already. And in the beginning, it was, of course, way more different. But right now I see, yeah, I heard about it. Citizen developer, yeah, I heard about it. So these reactions I'm getting more and more. And yeah,
that's a good thing. Yeah.
To build proof of concepts, to build MVPs, it's amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. One more question before we go with the final question. If you have any use cases from your clients, that would be great, because I believe that our audience love use cases.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, yeah, we have, and we also have some use cases from our own, because besides creating virtual events for whoever is looking for virtual events or digital events, we're also running our own flagship conference every single year. Yes, we have. And we are also having some sort of, or we had some sort of satellite series, which means some recurring events every single month, where people can just tune in and see if the content we will share there is something for them. So, for example, some use case in particular, we recently worked together with a company in Switzerland, not in Germany, but in Switzerland. And we did a digital event for them. It was just about entrepreneurship, no code and low code, and MVP building. Alexander Osterwalder was there. He did a keynote, and it was not a free event, it was a paid event. And so those are things that you can actually do. You can do free events with probably some no-show rates there. And the no-show rate is most of the time around about 50%. Maybe you can lower it. But when it's free, people won't, normally half of the people won't attend, maybe some more. And it was a paid one. So what we noticed when we were doing a paid virtual event, people are actually engaged. I'm not sure about sign-ups in particular, but it was a couple of hundred, I think, and people actually were online the whole day. There was the engagement rate was the highest we've ever seen, just because there was a barrier with the pricing. People paid it, and then there was like, I now want to get some value for my money, right? So they actually watched the whole event for the whole day. This was something we did. And a couple of months ago, we did a project together with the Project Management Institute. That's more in the consulting branch. Most of the people are knowing it there. And we did an event about a virtual event about citizen development, right? We just talked about it, and we also had a couple of 100 signups there, and we had a keynote presentation. Then we had a panel discussion, so an expert talk where we had like 4 people speaking about this topic with their own thoughts, with their own ideas. And in the end, we had the wrap up, and followed by some email sequences with more additional resources. So yeah, those are some of the use cases, I think. The one in Switzerland, the one in London with the PMI, and maybe about our own conference, one last thing. That's also possible to not just having your own digital event, but becoming a sponsor for other digital events. You can just Google it if you want. There are a couple of digital events out there. And for the German Mittelstand in particular, it can be interesting as well to just sponsor some of the events to increase awareness, or just have a virtual booth to just be there and talk to people. But it's really important that it's engaging, that the content is engaging, that people are actually joining your virtual booth, for example, that they have a reason to attend. Otherwise, they will just ignore you and you paid a lot of money with no return. So I think you should really consider and you think about sponsoring those kind of events.
Yeah, it's a good tip. And that's exactly my last question. What's your top tip for Mittelstand managers or owners to apply right away, especially when it comes to digital events?
Try it first with recurring events and some sort of webinars, and don't try to just sell stuff. Don't try to sell stuff. When you are trying to sell stuff, if people have never heard about you before, they will just leave. If you are bringing together people, if you are trying to increase awareness, just start with some small series of virtual events that can be webinars. That could be a session like Ken and I'm doing right now. Just sharing thoughts about a specific topic. But don't try to sell that hard. People will just leave. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Maybe in some point later in the process, later in the sales process, people need to know about your product. People need to know what you're doing, whatever you're doing in digital Mittelstand, but people need to know what it is. People need more insights. Then it's the right way. But to just increase awareness, just focus on thought leadership, focus on sharing insights, focus on sharing personal stories, become more, or just increase awareness, right? So kick things off small. That's my top tip there. Not just start with your own conference, not just think too big, start things slowly, get into there slowly. See if it's working for you. Maybe it's not, then just don't do it anymore. You're just wasting money probably, or you're doing it wrong. Then maybe just get some consultation or something, but start small. That's the top tip there.
Good. How people can find you?
Ideally on LinkedIn, Sascha Willutzki. That's the easiest way. Otherwise, on the website, Second Digital Revolution. But the best thing I would say, and the best way to go to this channel for me is definitely LinkedIn. So I'm sure when this is uploaded somewhere, you can just replay the video. So yeah. Sascha Willutzki on LinkedIn, just shoot me a message. I'll be there.
Great. Thank you, Sascha. Thank you for your insights and your excitement about Lowcode as well as digital events. So thank you. And it was so nice for me to have you here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the great conversation. I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you. Ciao. One episode every Tuesday at 7:45 a.m. and also other videos for digital transformation. If you like the content, please subscribe, and you can reach me out anytime by my email. Here it is. And thank you for visiting my channel.